So there's your that's the definition of it.
Okay.
So when
Interesting.
we have mysterious dimes that just show up, or the pennies, we how many people know about pennies from heaven? Well, in Canada, we don't have pennies anymore. So if you're finding pennies from heaven, that's reaching way, way back. Those are way
Yeah.
back pennies. We
Or
get feathers, we get
yeah.
birds, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. So I'll give you the reason, and I'm telling you, this blew my mind. And every time it happens, I'm just like, I have jazz hands. Look at that. Um, jazz hands. Carrie, you need your camera on so you can do jazz hands with us.
Yeah.
No, no, camera
So
shy.
a couple of days ago, or sorry, it was last week, I was given a pair of winter gloves. And this is the reason I thought, you know what, we got to talk about this. I was given a pair of winter gloves and I tried them on because they come up to here. They're like a large kid's
Mhm.
winter glove. And you know how kids have got the snow that goes up their sleeve. Anyway, they look like small skidoo gloves. And I tried them on. I thought, I don't know. Do I want to keep these? Do I want to give them away? Um, Tried them on 3 times. I'm getting a chill down my arm now just talking about it. I tried these gloves on 3 times. And when you try on gloves, you do that just to make sure that they fit. Anyway, I'd come to a day last week or a couple of days ago where I actually needed to put on the gloves because we had some snow and I didn't want to use my bare hands to clean the snow off my car. So I put on the glove and what pops out of the finger? A dime.
Mm-hmm.
Mind blown.
Cool.
And the first thing
Mm-hmm.
I did was message you guys. I'm like, all right, that's enough of this. We're talking about this. There's been times where I went to a drugstore to print some photographs, and I was spending money that I shouldn't have been spending. And because it was for rent and groceries and bus fare and so I'm printing photographs because I love my photography. And I get to the drugstore and the machine's not working. And I know all I have with me is my debit card, and that's all I have. My debit card and my thumb drive with the files on it. And so for some reason, the machine wasn't working. And so I take my thumb drive out and I turn around. I go back over to the front counter and I said, do you know when they're going to be fixing the machine or is it up for repairs or whatever? And she told me, yes, there's a repairman coming the following day and, just come back like, later in the evening and I should be able to print. And you know what? I walked by and guess what's sitting there on the scan bed? A dime.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard them fall. I've heard them hit the floor. A couple of years, like this was maybe 15 years ago, for about a year and a half, I was finding three, four, and sometimes five dimes in one day. It was to the point where I could point and say, there's going to be one right there. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear it hit the floor, and there it is. And I did that in front of other people. Um, there's been birds show up at my dad's funeral. There wasn't a lot of people there, and we had like a very small service, and and a hummingbird came and flew around his uh, grave and then flew away. It just did one circle and flew away. And so there's another example of an aport. I've had now I'm not sure how well this I don't know. I'm just saying this is what a friend told me while we were on a group call and we were talking about witchcraft and all that stuff. And there was somebody who was part of our group and we decided, we don't really want her as part of our group because she's doing a lot of dark magic. We don't like that stuff. Anyway, the one woman in the group, she heard something fall in her bedroom. She thought her cat was doing something, and she goes in and she sees this big necklace with a big crystal on it, big gold chain, and all that stuff. And she's like, I have no idea who owns this. So she took a picture of it. She sent it because this was on Skype. We weren't on video call. She sent it to our group, and one of the women in the group said, that belongs to the girl that we just kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get it? So The woman that we kicked out of the group lived in Alaska. The woman that found it was in California. How did she get it?
Mm.
I don't know. Kara, have you ever had an experience like that?
Not off the top of my head. No.
You
Not that
never
I've
found any, no
not that I've
dimes or,
acknowledged. I don't. I
okay.
don't really find times. So I feel like there must be something else I'm supposed to notice.
So,
I see
some,
butterflies sometimes. There's a housefly around my computer right now, which is really bothering me. I don't know why he's there.
oh, houseflies are amazing. They are
Uh,
actually, I hate them too, trust me, but they're there for a reason. What I wanted to say was about the pennies. And us in Canada, don't have them. When you find a penny, it's an American penny. That means that you had a friend that was an American or somebody that is from America. That is a specific message from them. So the next time you look at a penny, you're like, oh my gosh, I found a penny. We don't have pennies. Like, whatever. I'm going back 20 years or whatever, since 10 years since a penny's been in or
Mhm.
whatever. It's probably an American friend or somebody that you had an experience with about America.
Mhm.
So,
I wasn't
Oh,
even aware they still had pennies.
oh, they,
oh,
they do. They kind of really want to get rid of them, but they don't have that motivation
Oh,
yet. Cost them like 4 cents to make one penny.
I
oh,
have
that's crazy.
I have a ton of these experiences. I have one more I want to share with you, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. And maybe Lori, if you want to share some of your, I'm sure
Mhm.
you've had so many
I get them
experiences.
every day,
What did I have
all the
today? I
time.
didn't have anything today. Um, I was in West Virginia and visiting a friend, and her friend from Pennsylvania came and stayed the weekend and said, "Hey, well, my husband has just passed away, so let's go up through the Appalachian Trail and we'll just go driving through the mountains or the Shenandoah Trail. We're going to go through the Shenandoah Trail." And all she wanted was a sign from her husband, who had just passed away about 2 weeks prior to that. And so we're the three of us were in the car, and she's very religious. I'm very spiritual. My friend is very spiritual, but she's also very much into Reiki and energy, and she's also religious. So we've got the like three of the three. Anyway, uh so we have a lot of energy. Anyway, so she says, well, maybe he can send me a butterfly. And me and my friend were saying, well, I mean, it's May or April, so you're going to see a lot of butterflies. Let's do something unique.
Mhm.
So I suggested, hey, if such this woman's husband is coming with us on the trail, I would like to see a lime green Mach 2 fastback Mustang. That's what I want to see. And she's like, why would you choose that car? And I said, I don't know. That's just what popped into my head. She
Mhm.
says, we owned that car. We owned that. That was our car. And I
Right.
said, okay, well, I guess if he's here, he'll show us that car. So anyway, we were gone all day driving through the mountains. It's just a beautiful day that we had. And anyway, as we coming back, we're heading back into town. It was around 6 p.m. What's coming on the highway out of town? That car that I mentioned. And I
Wow.
was so calm, and I'm sitting in the front seat, and I said to her, I said, what is that coming that way? And she just was so shocked. That was the exact car that I asked for her husband to send us. And
Wow.
so anyway, and I still tell people that because I was so mind blown. I get mind blown when I hear a dime hit the floor. It's like, you're kidding me. That actually just happened.
Hmm.
Mm, it happens. I
Oh.
need to know who and where.
So the best thing to do is to stop and ask who. Ask who it is. Is this for me or is this for somebody else? Because sometimes you're the conduit for that dime. And so to give that dime away, it's a message from somebody else. But I don't get a lot. I get every day, every single day, I get signs. Not a lot of times are they for me. 99% of the time, they're for somebody else. Especially if I'm heading into a reading or something, I will get a quarter. Quarters are a lot lately. What I do find, and I want to talk about this because this is a huge question for me, is why don't people leave signs? A. B, what do the signs mean when they leave them? C, they have trends on the other side too. So not necessarily a dime. For a long time, for about 5 years, I went through the spirits leaving forks and spoons,
Okay.
silverware, as a way of telling you, okay, I'm thinking of you, right? And every time I'd say, oh, well, you remember all those forks that were going missing and you would blame your son for that? That was your grandfather. Those kind of things. Metal was easier to move places. Something that was an irritant that when you would stop, you would think about them. That those
Mhm.
can be all considered signs too, but there's trends. So a feather is what I would call a trend. A dime is what I would call a trend because it's something that we ask the spirits to send us. So it's, oh, can you send me that like that? So that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. But I get them
Yeah.
all the time, every day. So even if it's
Yes.
reading, I'll be like, okay, well, that would be her father coming through. It may not always be an object either. It's the radio, but we were driving here tonight home and are completely no radio on, and all of a sudden, boom, the song came on. And I'm like,
Hmm.
all right, who's this for? What's going on here?
Yes.
Right? Why are you playing this song? And of course, I get the spirits coming through telling me, okay, well, it's for this person or it's for that person. And I know now who to deliver that message to. Somebody is thinking about them.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's things like that. Not
Yes.
everything is a sign, but there are signs that we need to look out for. You can hear the little bell ringing in the cat background. That's my pixel running up and down the hallway.
Yes. And I was just going to mention before you said something about Pixel. Pixel's the cat, by the way.
Yes, pixel's the cat.
Not a pixel.
Mhm.
Um, so these are gifts. Excuse me. These are gifts from beyond, gifts from
Mhm.
whoever.
Mhm.
And the one gift I gotta stop with the hands because they look so big on the camera. The one gift that we've all been given is the gift of discernment.
Mhm.
And so when we see a dime sitting on the table, we think, did that just show up there or did it fall out of somebody's wallet or where we have the ability to decide and make sure that not everything is paranormal. A feather falling down in front of your window is not paranormal. It could be just because there's a bird nest up there.
Mhm.
So we have the gift of discernment, and that isn't something that we created. That's to me, that's a gift.
Mm. That's awesome. That is exactly what that is. However, I'm going to take it for a little further than that.
Sure.
You're going to see a feather falls, and not everything, you're right, is paranormal. However, that feather, what I wouldn't necessarily call it a sign. I go a little bit further and call that like a moment in time. Because when you're seeing that, what's the first thing you think about? A person, a place, an object, something that you have to do. So to have a sign like a feather that falls, it can definitely be a sign or a moment in time when you break thought, when you're thinking about something else. So there could be a bird's nest there, but how many of those birds' feathers are staying in the nest and how many are falling?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I would have a tendency to go, okay, so there's a reason why that feather fell. Why fall at my feet? Why is it a blue feather, not a pink feather? Why is it like,
Hmm.
but sometimes it's to break our thought, break our trains of thought where we were going with that, or to remind us about something. Maybe
Hmm.
the feather that falls, you're like, oh crap, I need a new pillow.
Hmm.
Or
And that's where the discernment comes in.
right, right. And so there you go hand in hand, which is really lovely.
Hmm.
But it's not always so I guess it's not always a sign, but at the same time, you can interpret it as a sign because this is probably one of my most favorite topics to talk about in the world is about signs because like going through what I do is every single reading I pretty much ever had, somebody asks me for the spirit to send them a sign so they
Hmm.
would know that they're there. Now, not every spirit can send signs, but every spirit does send a sign. So, having said both of those, not every one
Hmm.
of them can physically send a sign. They can't send you a yellow gummy bear from heaven.
Hmm.
Some can't. Some, though, can flicker your lights. Some can make you think of a song in your head that's just them, right?
Yes.
So those are all signs.
Yes.
So one thing that I get a lot of, and this is sometimes people will get very upset with me if they're not getting the right sign from the spirit. So before a person has passed, they'll say, when you're on the other side, I need you to send me this specific sign. The spirit's already left that memory behind in its human body,
Hmm.
already left that in the brain, right? So they may or may not know exactly what they're talking about. So I had a client one time who say, well, I told my mother before she crossed that she had to leave me a yellow rose with white tips.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And no medium that she had been through had ever saw that sign for her. And no medium she had ever been like, and it was like, she was testing me. Do you see that sign? And I'm like, I don't, not gonna lie, I don't see it. But this spirit was crying, going, it's not a yellow rose. Like, it's it's actually the dimes that I'm sending you. And so I say to her, are you seeing dimes? She's like, yeah, but it's not a yellow rose. So we
Uh,
get it so fixated in her head that this
yeah.
was a specific sign that you had to send her, that she didn't see the other signs. So that's the other part of that, is that sometimes if you ask for a specific sign, you may not always get it. You may get
Ye-
something else. So you have to keep your discernment. You have to keep your
yes.
open, right?
Yep.
That's kind of where I wanted to go with that. I love talking about this because this is something that pretty much all my clients ask me. Go
Well,
ahead.
when my mentor, when she passed away, I didn't know until the following day, and I happened to. It was just I had the day off, and I had to go to the funeral home.
Hmm.
For a woman, I didn't even know this woman. I knew her son, so her son was my coworker. So I was just going to pay my respects. So I'm trying to drive through the city of London, and I'm just so angry for her passing away, just the way she did. And I actually, she told me when she was going to pass away, so I don't even know why I was um surprised. Anyway, I get in my car, and before I get in, I'm like looking up at the sky. I'm like, why did you do that? uh, and then I asked her, I said, show me something, anything that tells me that you're okay. I just want to know that you're okay. I get in the car, I turn it on, turn the radio up full blast. She was a concert pianist.
Hmm.
And what's playing? Billy Joel's Piano Man. And
Yep.
every time I thought of her, that song would come on. So I get to the funeral home, I get out, and I go in, pay my respects, come back out. There's a nickel sitting on the ground right beside my door. And I pick it up and I said, oh, you're on the other side now. You're cheap. What is this? So she used to tease me about finding all these dimes. I said, well, what are you cheaping out now that you're on the other side? And that was a joke. And she had that great sense of humor. So I drive to the mall just to I'm just going to go mall walking on a Sunday afternoon, clear my head. I come out of the mall, and what's sitting on the ground right beside my car? A quarter.
Hmm.
And so she was kind of sending me those signs instead of the dimes, and instead of, I don't even know what I was asking for, but I knew it was her sending me those. Kara, you had mentioned something. Now this involves when you met Lori for the first time or the second time, but you told me there was a reason why you met her. Do you want to tell that story?
I can't remember what I told you, to be honest.
Oh, okay, you and was it going
We
to
we
Cape
met at
Breton
a
or
mystic
PEI?
fair in Cape Breton.
Hmm.
Yes, and there was a and there was a reason why you drove all the way there.
Someone had recommended her to me. I'm trying to remember who that was.
Oh, I know the name of the person. She worked at the hospital too.
Miranda, I think.
Shauna? Shauna?
Yeah. I think it was Miranda. We
Okay.
worked together at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had
No,
recommended you.
but I thought there was more to it, like you had no intentions of going, and then all of a sudden you get this sign like, "Hey, I should go."
I don't know. I'm never good at finding, I'm never good at reading signs when they come to me. I'm not sure.
So I think she's really good at reading signs because I remember this story too, because she had driven 4 hours to see me in Port Hawkesbury
Hmm.
when I was literally going, I literally live in Halifax and she's like 40 minutes away from me.
Yes.
But that day she said she woke up and her friend had said, today's a great day to go for a drive.
Hmm.
He literally got into a car and drove to Port Hawkesbury. And I was so flattered and honored and just like, wow, like to drive that far to see little old me for like
And so
30.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and
that's
so
just
It
so
was
that
very spontaneous. It was very spontaneous. I remember that.
Mhm.
hmm
I
and here
think
you are.
I think that you read signs and but you're so that's like sometimes people interpret them, they don't interpret them as signs. They're just like, okay, yeah, that's something telling me to do that or not to do that. That could be that's a sign as well. Signs fall under coincidences, which there never is any of.
Hmm.
Everything happens for a reason. And I think I've heard Kara say that before. Everything happens for a reason.
I do
Hmm.
believe that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a sign as well. Like get it going outside and going, okay, well, darn, I don't have my umbrella, but you don't have time to go back and get your umbrella, but then it doesn't rain, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
something as small as that. So I I think you do read signs and I know you do. And that's wonderful. Like it's when we do things like when people have things in their head and like I'm going back to like clients again, they're like it has to be this way or it has to be that way. That's not the way spirits are. And that's not the way our signs are, right?
Hmm.
I think that like or so much things happen and oh my God, I'm all over the place now. Of course I
Too
have that
many signs. Too
coming
too
through.
many signs coming out.
Well, too many signs, but what I'm getting is this is a message for Kara too, because there's somebody that has passed. And they're on the other side. Actually, I knew this was going to happen. Her beagle came right through.
Oh,
Hmm.
I was
Yeah,
hoping.
he is like he's got he has like a collar that keeps jingling. So every time I hear Pixel, it takes me right to him on
Hmm.
Harley, right?
Yeah, it's Harley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it have a bone shape or something on his collar? Like,
Yeah, he had a few collars. I do think one of them had bones all on it. Like it
and
was
what?
gray.
I'm seeing blue though, but
Oh,
it
okay.
could be
Well,
getting
you
my
could be more right
colors.
than me. I'd have to go
No,
back in the
no, you're
and
probably more
look.
right than I am, but
Oh, it's hard.
it's showing blue. But he's here to say hello. And
Oh,
he's been
good.
sending you signs lately,
Okay.
right?
I don't know how to pick up on them. It's very hard to know
Well,
when it
he's
is and when it's
well,
not.
you've been picking up on them. You're just not you're picking up on them and you're that's when you stop and think about him. It's like there's moments in time where you're overcome by emotion about that, or you're stopped and thinking, that's a sign. And it could have been just that
Hmm.
you tripped over a piece of food that might have been left on the floor, or just a smell, or just seeing like another dog, or um, for him, he's, I'm sorry to say this, but he's not very bright.
No, he wasn't
Oh,
very bright.
so
Okay.
he would bump into
Phew.
things, right?
Yes, he was
Those are
clumsy.
things like
Yeah.
he kind of is showing me him bumping into like a wall, but there was a door there now. So my voice again, right in the middle of that,
Yeah.
talking
Hmm.
that he that's a sign. His son, he's getting choked up now. But he's like, you put there was a wall, but you put a door or a half a door or something there. And so he kept banging into it, but then realized he was able to go through it. if that makes any
Okay.
sense. And that's kind of what he's showing me. And he's like, that's your sign. He's like, you yeah, you're not interpreting them as signs, but they're signs.
Okay.
Hmm. Or
Um,
That's
sometimes we'll
what's
get a little,
difficult for me. That's what's difficult.
yeah. I
sometimes we'll get a little ring in the ear.
yeah.
Sometimes our dreams are signs. Now, have you
Hmm.
ever heard of the Scole experiment?
No.
Scole, Scole. It's in England.
Hmm.
It's a tiny little town, and there was a group of
Of that.
mediums. You now it's ringing a bell, is it?
I know,
So
yeah, I know what it is. I just didn't know what it was called.
okay, it's the Scole experiment,
Mm.
yes. And so it's a group. I don't know if they're mediums or they're just interested in it. Anyway, they go down into this dark basement that is it's a really all the houses I think in that town are old. But anyway, they're down in the cellar. There's no windows, there's no light, there's nothing, no way of being able to see. And what they do is they just sit there and they talk and they ask for signs and they ask spirit for this and for that. And things actually appear, tangible things appear out of nowhere. And
Mhm.
it's all on video. They've got these things just appearing, like falling through the table, or the table will move. But there's cameras all over the place. And there's no way for them to move a table as heavy as they have. But anyway,
Mm.
there's like you can hear keys jingling and then hit the floor, but they're
Mm.
going through the table. It's also a lot to do with physics too, because an object is not a solid object until something comes in contact with it, because the molecules are moving at different speeds. So like if I touch my glass is not a solid object until I touch it.
Mm. I think that's quantum physics as well.
Quantum
Mm.
physics, yes.
Yeah.
So so now the apports, are they coming from a different timeline? Where are they coming from? There's another issue, and Kara, I have a feeling that you are experienced with this. You go to pick up your car keys, and you think, I know I put my keys there. Where the heck are my keys? Where are they? You look around the
Hmm.
house, you're tearing your dresser drawers apart, your laundry, everything's all torn apart, and boom, there they are, sitting exactly where you thought they were.
Right. Yep.
You've had
Or
that happen? That's an
Yes, of
apport.
course.
Yep, that's an port. And also,
Oh.
this just came to my mind. I'm so silly, but I'm eating gummy bears, and I absolutely hate the color orange flavored anything. I hate the color. Blech, gross.
Hmm.
So I opened the bag and I'm not even watching me, and I'm like, this is going to be an orange one. I can just tell you,
Sure enough.
right? First time I opened the bag, like just second, I'm like, it's going to be an orange one every time, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
it's
Yep.
orange.
Yeah,
Those are
or
like those are
you
signs
pick up
too.
if you pick up your phone because you know it's going to ring.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not something tangible, but it's another sign. It's another apport
And here it
from
come.
it.
Yeah.
It's a message from somebody that you just mentally connected to. Now, I don't know. That might be stretching it a little bit. It's not really an apport, but it is along the
I,
same realm, I suppose.
if you're talking about being an apport and what the true definition of an apport is, then it might not be. But that doesn't mean it's not a sign, right? Like
Hmm.
it could be like anything, like everything every day we get hundreds of signs. That whole time, like my voice is perfectly okay now.
Hmm.
That was a sign for me that that was a confirmation for Kara about this dog. And he was getting choked up, and he's like, yeah, he was getting choked up. He was also showing me cream for his paws. He was like kept going like this with his paws. And I'm not sure if had some they were like the skin was kind of peeling off of them. So somebody was putting cream on them, and I'm not sure if they were absolutely supposed to. But over the next few days, you're going to see the puppy cream or the puppy balm or something that you would put on his paws to make them
Okay.
not make them as, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
His foster moms were doing that for him.
Okay.
before
he,
we adopted
he
him.
didn't like him.
I probably still have that cream somewhere.
Yeah, he doesn't like it though. But that was to him what he was sending
Hmm.
through to you. And he's showing me his paws to say, like, there's not wrong with my freaking paws. First, he was showing me the skin peeling off of them. And then
Oh.
he's like, there's nothing wrong with it. See? And he's like going like this. And he's got these incredibly massive palms of his paws and these little tiny toes. So he's, yeah. And of course, I'm 100% biased towards beagles, as you
Yeah,
know. I
I
am,
do.
I love beagles. And I would probably have 50 beagles, 100 beagles if I had a fenced in backyard and my fence was about 50 feet tall.
Yes, I know. Yeah, because
Hmm.
they will roam.
Yeah, that's the only reason,
Yeah.
single only reason why I won't have a beagle is because I don't have a fenced in backyard.
Hmm.
Going
Yeah.
down, going
I don't
down
know that I
10 feet,
have a
coming up.
preference. I don't
I,
think I have a preference. I know I love the two that are here, Jed and
yeah,
Millie. Yes, they are in my
we're,
heart.
we're not
Hmm.
like we love dogs. My son has a fear and a phobia of dogs,
Hmm.
just based on past dogs that he's been around.
Hmm.
But he has come around a little bit. He's more of a cat person.
Hmm.
Uh, and my cat will let him do anything. Like he carries her around by two paws like this, when she
Oh,
doesn't say
really?
anything.
Wow.
He doesn't carry her around by the two paws. He has her in his arms, but it's like, oh yeah.
Hmm.
And she lets him. But
So
anybody
what
else,
else?
mm, so
What else can we talk about?
well, talking
On the
about
Aport.
talking about signs, like being specifics, like I said, about signs, being open to interpretation of signs and being open to it. Actually had this conversation with one of my elders yesterday from my reserve here, which was a really good conversation about feathers and feathers in particular. And the conversation was about they were talking about how they have an eagle in their freezer, and I was like, "Hello, I have a hawk in my freezer." Because I wanted to know who I could gift this hawk to. And so I said, but your eagle is not appearing as an eagle. I said, your eagle has the energy of a turkey. And she was like, you're absolutely right. And I said, because sometimes now an eagle, or let's say we have a turkey. I had this huge turkey feather, it's about this long, and everyone was getting it confused with an eagle feather. Well, where I was, there was no eagles there. There was no eagles flying around. There wasn't. But this turkey was presenting itself as an eagle. So it was presenting itself as an eagle feather. So that means that that energy of that eagle, although I couldn't see it, feel it, or touch it, came through as in a turkey feather. So sometimes it's not always what we think it is. So an eagle feather is all about like connection onto the other side. It's about getting in touch with our ancestors. Eagle feathers is a huge honor for us as well, but it's also the gentleness and the scrappiness of an eagle as well.
Hmm.
Its mobility, all these things, which you're not going to get out of a turkey, right? So you're like,
Hmm.
why is this a turkey feather, not an eagle feather? But it's the eagle medicine that you need with the turkey. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but when I said that to the elder, she's like, that made so much sense to her that, and so people don't see it like that all the time. So
Hmm.
sometimes you'll see a cat that has dog energy, and that's what it's trying to portray to you is that things aren't always what they seem, but you always get the medicine that you need when you need it.
Hmm.
So that turkey feather kept appearing as an eagle feather. So I kept the turkey feather and I kept it for a long time. And then when I did see the person I was supposed to gift it to, they were saying I didn't have an eagle feather to do my smudge. And I was like, this is why I brought my turkey feather. And as soon as he held
Hmm.
the turkey feather, he was like, there you go. This was the eagle feather that I needed. He needed the eagle medicine coming through a different animal. So sometimes our signs aren't always what we think they are. So just
Hmm.
be open, and everything that you get, like getting a gummy bear and holding that in your hand, and you're like, this is a sign
Yeah, and
from
it's like
somewhere.
this
Where
is not
is
what I
this?
want.
What is this? What is this? Who's it from?
Yeah.
Um, because
Something to catch your attention.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I get signs all the time, every day.
In last summer, I was caretaker of a house the next community over,
Hmm.
and I was there for what, 3, 4 months. I was there for 4 months, and I kind of made friends with the neighborhood crows. And so much so that I put my wildlife cam up on the doorstep, and I was was videotaping them eating the snacks that I was putting out for them, and they gifted me 2 feathers.
Hmm.
And so that's what I use now if when I'm smudging is those two crow feathers. And
Hmm.
I did know, and I don't even know how I knew this, but when you find a crow feather, you're supposed to look around, and if there's any crows in the distance, if you can see any, you're supposed to show it to them and say, "Thank you. Thank
Hmm.
you so much for this."
Yep,
And if you just
lovely.
pick it up and go, then they're going to say, "Wait a second. How ungrateful was that? Say thank you."
So,
Um,
and offer something back. Like that's a big
yes.
thing in our culture is we thank for everything. So every time I get a sign, so thank first thing I say, oh my gosh, it's a
Yeah.
dime. I find dimes in the bottom of my washer or in the bottom of my dryer. Just
Hmm.
sometimes just to let me know that spirit's going to come through. And I'm like, oh my
Yes.
God, another one. But I thank them. Thank you very much for whatever messages that you're going to give to me. My grandfather used to jingle change in his pocket.
Hmm.
So whenever I hear change jingling, I automatically go to him. But he always said, you'll never ever be broke. So when I see that
Hmm.
dime, I'm like, that's my grandfather. You're never going to be broke. You
Never gonna
always
be
will have a
broke.
dime. Always have enough to make a phone call. So he'll start sending quarters, right? Um,
Yes.
Sometimes he'll send a loony if I need a loony. There's there's money around my house and I won't pick it up,
Yes.
right? Unless it's meant for somebody else. But that's kind of like, yeah, thank them for it and then leave something behind. What normally I would leave tobacco, as we would say, because we're thank you for the offering. If
Yes.
not,
Yeah.
the other thing you can leave behind is a piece of your hair.
Hmm.
So if you just comb through your hair, whatever hair
Yep.
you get, thank you very much and go
Hmm.
forward. Thank you for the medicine that you're giving me with this feather. Birds are so, so important to the other side, to the spirits. I wanted to tell
Yes.
you what I saw on Tuesday. I was at the Mount, it's a university here in Nova Scotia. It's where I was going to a job fair, and I saw 10 deer on their lawn. They're used to seeing them all the time. And I'm not as used to seeing them. I do like them, but I couldn't find a parking spot. So I had to drive up, and the parking spot that I ended up finding was in the security parking lot. And I parked there and I was like, you're not allowed to park here. I did have my wheelchair sign, so I put that on there and I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I'm gonna go. So I'm walking down and I came about this close to a deer. And usually they run away or they're looking elsewhere.
Hmm.
And I had
Hmm.
no freaking idea, no freaking clue, because I'm in my own world, that this deer is this far from my head until I could smell him. And he was like
Hmm.
smelling on me. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to walk. Don't make any sudden movements. And I'm walking. And so I was telling the girl in the office, I saw this, and she was like, oh, wow. They always run away when they're around. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So on the way home, I picked up my son. We were driving home, and he was saying to me, Mommy, did you see that eagle flying above? And so I start telling him stories about the eagles. Like the other day, my sister and I were driving, and we each saw two eagles really close to us flying down. Every time I
Hmm.
drive through Lower Sackville, always get the same eagle.
Hmm.
Getting a lot of eagles lately. But we saw an eagle sitting on a piece of ice in the middle of a lake driving home. And I literally stopped because I didn't think it was an eagle. And I was like, and I said, Mike, is that an eagle? And he was like,
Hmm.
I think so. And then just as I said that, he did his span of his wing,
Yes.
and they were like, holy moly, probably
Yeah.
5 feet wide. Like they're huge.
Yeah.
Just to say thank you. So I was like, thank you very much for that,
Hmm.
that
Well,
eagle
I do.
medicine.
I do know that crows, if you don't pick up that feather, they will come and take it back and
Yep.
they'll
And they'll
feather
be
their
mad.
nest with it.
They'll
Yep,
be
they'll
mad
take
at
it
you.
back.
Yep.
Yeah,
They'll be
that's
mad at
that's
you.
why that's why you don't find crow feathers laying around.
No.
I
You
know
know,
just what was it 2 years ago? There was a crow, not a crow, it was a raven, was hit by a car just at the end of the driveway here. And as every time I'd go out the driveway, I couldn't even I wanted to go and take it off the road, but I couldn't. I didn't have the heart to touch it. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry because I know if a raven dies at the end of your driveway, that's a sign that there's going to be some bad juju coming up your driveway. And so I'm trying to, spread some as much love as I can to this poor creature. And I'm so sorry this happened to you. And thank you for being in the yard and the songs that they sing, the entertainment with the dog and all this. I'm just spreading so much love to this thing. But you never ever see crow or raven feathers just laying around like you do any other bird, really,
pigeon
because they
feathers.
come and get the pigeon feathers. Pigeons, yeah. Because the crows and the ravens, they if you don't pick it up and
Mhm.
thank them, then they come and get it.
And but they also realize too that we're clueless. So sometimes we don't even know. We'll walk by it. But if we intentionally pick it up and we
Hmm.
don't thank them, oh boy, that's bad juju right there.
Yes, yes.
But to thank them and offer them something back.
Hmm.
Sometimes I have crackers in my car, and I have crackers and hot sauce. Don't like hot
Hmm.
sauce. Hot sauce is really great to put on your tongue if you're in the middle of a panic attack, by the way.
I've heard, yes.
Yeah, but they also crows like hot sauce. So if you see a crow or a bird or something, just put a little drop of hot sauce on a cracker. There you go. It'll be your friend for life. But I
Um,
always have food there. I have sage in my car. So I
yeah.
sage, a sweetgrass. I have all
And
the type of medicines.
what else? Yeah, and we also have the numbers, the signs.
Mm,
Again, they're not tangible. Well, I mean, I suppose it could be, but they're not apports, certainly not. But they're signs.
your soul
If
sign.
you're
Yeah.
asking for something, or if your guide is if your guide is behind you, just giving you that like this, like, come on, look at that
Mhm,
number, look at that sign. For a couple of years, I saw 911 and I
mhm,
couldn't understand what, and that's when I was finding all the dimes and I didn't believe it. And when I finally relaxed and I said, okay, I trust you, now bring it on. And that's when I changed jobs and I got a raise and
mhm,
then I was able to save money and buy a car and I was started doing so much better. But that was my indication right there. All you have to do is relax. There's your sign that's saying whatever it is you've asked for, it's on its way. You
mhm,
just have to sit back and allow it to come in. But if you look at that sign and you block it, saying, no, come on, stop that. That's ridiculous. Or if you say, oh, it's just a coincidence, once you diminish
mhm,
it to just, saying just, then then that puts it on hold. And
mhm.
then so you're going to keep getting those signs. I keep seeing 817. And that's something that I was shown when I was in West Virginia. I was in a extreme meditation. That's when I was doing my shamanic journey, I guess, for 2 days. And I'm laying there and I say, okay, I need to know what it is. You tell me, what do I need to know right now? And I saw something come up to the side here, and he took his really, really long finger and he drew 817 in the air. And I said, okay, and then just disappeared.
Mhm.
And then the skies opened up and just poured rain on me, and I'm like, okay, I'm done here. Like, I gotta go. I gotta get back. But
Yeah.
817, so 2 days of shamanic journey in
Mhm.
the woods by myself with a rattlesnake and a deer and a whole bunch of birds, and that's what it was 817, and that was my guide's way of saying, you're gonna look at this number once and for all, and I'm gonna make you look at this number.
Mm.
So now I see it all over the place.
Each of those numbers, every number has its own energetic field to it, and it has its own. We need to do a show on numbers too, because
Yes.
numbers very separately. There's a lot of like life path numbers, those kind of things. That would actually be a really great um, thing to do for our viewers as well, how to get your life path numbers and all that. But
Hmm.
each one of those numbers in that 817 hold their own energy. And eights are usually about abundance. If you can't have three eights together, you're not going to get triple abundance. But if you have two eights together, that's abundance. And that's usually abundance of money coming in. Abundance doesn't just only mean money, it means success, it means happiness. There's an abundance of love. Like it's what you
Hmm.
need the abundance of is going to be coming.
Hmm.
One holds its own energy because 11 is what they call a master number, a double one.
Hmm.
But a one in and of itself is like the first number. It's all about changing and new beginnings and the newness of everything. So then you have like, so you're abundant of new opportunities because number sevens are opportunities. Sevens are like, they're like that path that you're not quite sure if you want to go down. There's that, you know,
Yes.
seven almost stalemated. So if you look at the combination of those three together, you have an abundance of changing and breaking old patterns. So there's your 817. And as
Hmm.
817 has its own energy in and of itself.
Hmm.
First thing when you said 817, I went to August 17th.
Yes. And
Because
I can tell you what happened August 17th.
right, exactly. And my birthday is August 18th. So when I'm constantly seeing 818, 818, and I stop and I make a wish every time I see
Hmm.
it. So always great to, I see 111 a lot, 1111, 333,
Hmm.
3333, a lot of them, but each one will hold their own separate energy. And it's just absolutely lovely. So I think that's what your guide was trying to tell you is like just to be open instead of now is the time to open up and
Hmm.
really look at that, what's going on, and
Hmm.
realize the abundance of new opportunities are coming your way. The seventh can also be a negative number, just like a four can be a negative number. Now, in
Hmm.
Chinese astrology or numerology, four is not a good number,
Hmm.
right? It's supposedly bad luck, but that's their belief. They don't like that in their address. They don't like that in phone numbers, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, you know, that for them holds that energy of unlucky. So that could be what seven does as well. Seven's not always lucky, right? So it
Hmm.
helps its own energies. It'll be a wonderful show to have, wonderful show to
Hmm.
do about numerology and numbers and
Hmm.
just as what they're
Yeah.
supposed to appear to be. But I'm glad that
Yes.
God gave you that and you interpreted that.
Oh,
You see it all the
yes.
time now as your number.
It's my number, 817. Kara, do you have any experience with numbers
No,
repeating?
but I'm gonna start watching and
Yeah,
looking out for
yeah.
numbers. I
I
really
know.
don't. I don't have any
Well,
lucky numbers or anything like that. I love numerology though, so
Oh,
I'm writing it
numerology
down so we
is so much
remember to
fun.
do this show
Mhm.
sometime.
yes, but you have so much going on. Do you have time to look at signs?
Maybe not. That's
I,
true. I'm very busy.
I do think that signs will come and you'll just go, okay, you dismiss it, but at the same time, you know that that's a sign, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it kind of
You,
Hmm.
does.
yeah.
Because I
So you,
believe in them totally.
right.
It's not,
So
I'm
you
not a skeptic.
Right. So you could see on your dashboard, it might say 219 kilometers until you get to the next gas station or that you need to fill up for gas. But you're continuously seeing that 219 or 219. And then you look down and your speed is 21 kilometers an hour. Or there's like nine is your tire pressure. Like you'll start to see combinations of those numbers. And it may not click at first, but as you see the repetition of those numbers, I just saw number two a few minutes ago. I think
Hmm.
that's the busyness. Twos are great. So the number 219 holds its own energy, but I think
When I was seeing 911 everywhere, I went and got my a complete brake job done on my car
Mhm.
that I had just
Like,
bought
yeah,
this car and I thought I'm gonna just take it in and get the brakes done. And my bill came to
exactly.
$911.19.
Right. Um, like
That's our.
I think for Kara, for you, I think it's going to be times. So when you see like a digital time, I think that's
Mhm.
going to like reset a thought that's happening. Um, it's, you're going to start to notice patterns, and it's not going to necessarily be 1111 or 222, because those are the things that stick out to us the most. It's going
Mhm,
to be like an odd number, like 213 or
Okay.
257. Um, and you'll start to see a repeat pattern in it, so that once you open yourself up to that, and you can just say, um, I'm open to any signs that you're going to give me, but don't make it too busy for me.
mhm.
Yeah, I
I
need
wake up at
simple.
3:37.
Yeah,
I
what's
wake up
that?
at 3:37 in the morning. That
Yeah,
Oh,
that's your
it's
witching hour.
3:37 instead of 3 o'clock or 3:33.
For a long time,
really?
I was waking up at 4:01 for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, or there's different times, but they seem to repeat the times until I really sit there and go, okay, why am I waking up at 2:17? Mine usually have ones in the middle of them. If you notice, every single number I said had a one in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just acknowledge it, and I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want me to know at 2:17 in the morning? Or what do you
Mm-hmm.
want me to know now? Like, what is it? I love to go back to sleep. Thank you very much, because I do need my sleep. But what is it
Mm-hmm.
that you want me to know at this moment in time? And if they don't give me the message, then I'm up at 2:17 the next morning. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I can't win.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I
So,
wake up, but I don't check the time. So see, I have to check the
yeah.
time and
And
see if there's a
Mm-hmm.
pattern. Maybe I'm just not looking for patterns enough. And I
I,
am busy, but I
I
could
think that,
stop and look for patterns.
that's happening. I just don't think you're realizing it consciously that it's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
I'm
And
daft.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. You're
No, you're
adapting.
not daft. You're busy.
You're not
Oh,
daft. I thought you
both.
said
It's
adapting.
both.
No,
Adapting.
daft.
Oh no, daft.
Okay. No, not at all. Oh my goodness.
No, not daft. You're just busy.
Just
I
busy.
It's
wish I was
both.
as
It's
daft
both.
as
I'm
if you're
not
daft, I
looking.
wish I was as daft as you are.
I can open up and I can look and I can ask questions when I see things and
Hmm.
just be a little more open to it for sure.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if you hear a ringing in one of your ears,
Hmm.
sometimes I mean again there's your gift of discernment. Is it air pressure or is it somebody whispering in your ear?
Right. And that
And
does
so
happen. My ears ring
yeah,
Yeah.
all the
yeah.
time,
But
I get a
and right
lot of
now
that.
this
Yeah.
but
one
I
is
don't ask
ringing right
questions
now.
about it.
But
Mm.
there's your gift of discernment. You got to
Hmm.
ask, is this air pressure or do I just need to pop my ear? Or like right now, this one is ringing. I don't know why because I just said it. Um, or is somebody and it also depends on. Oops, and there, look at that.
That
My ear
popped right
just
out.
popped out, fell right out. Now I can't find it. Um, it depends on which ear too, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Oh, there it is.
Different things mean like different ears.
Yeah.
Your right ear is completely different from your left ear. If you get so, I don't like pigeonholing things. Like, I don't say if you get it in your right ear, it means this. If you get it in your left ear, it means that, because it's different. It could be different. Like, I used to write with my left hand. I was a left hand dominant, and then when I was in grade two, and a nun beat it out of me, right? So I write with my right hand now, but my dominant hand is my left hand. So if I was to say, I'm people say I'm right-handed, cool, but that's not my dominant hand. My left hand is my dominant hand. So
Mm-hmm.
for me might always be my left ear.
Mm,
Whereas I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying to you, it's your right ear, because most people are right-handed. Does it make sense? So I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to pigeonhole things. Like I always say,
mm,
there's no rules in tarot. People will hate
Mm-hmm.
when I say that. I don't read tarot books and say this is what the card means, because I'm an intuitive reader that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when
Well,
you're getting that in your ear is very important about you. It's about balance. And if
Hmm.
like ears is all about balance. That's what they're there for us to hear, but to balance things out. If ears are blowing in your right ear or one of your ears,
Mm.
that's time for you to like stop and catch your breath,
Hmm.
really. If you hear ringing in that ear, so you might hear a different pitch in your left ear than you do in your right ear. That's a whisper in your left ear, but a warning in your right ear. That kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah,
And you got to make sure it's not tinnitus.
right. And
Yes, I get
even
it.
even that kind of stuff, if you're getting it too much, that also can be a spirit talking to you about going to get your ears checked.
Hmm.
Sometimes when like we have things that happen and we're just like, okay, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing, and then all of a sudden it's something. I have a sore throat, don't want to go to the doctor, it's nothing, it's just a sore throat. But that's about not being able to speak, right? Your
Hmm.
sore throat. Is it going to be strep? It probably could be if we're not paying attention to it, but
Hmm.
that's a sign that it's time to go get it checked out. And when you finally get that much pain in there and you can't talk anymore, that's your sign to go get it. So
Hmm.
you could do it sooner or you can go later. So I believe
Hmm.
almost everything is sign, even the tendonitis. That's the spirit saying to you, it's time to go get checked. It's time to go get checked.
Yes.
Time to go get checked.
Oh, so
Go get
you
checked.
can get
Yes.
health signs,
Right.
signs about your health.
Right.
Mm.
Yes,
Signs about your
absolutely.
health. Hmm.
I
It,
mean, and you know what? When you're scrolling through social media, you all of a sudden you come up with this article on, I don't know, lung cancer, and you think, why am I all of a sudden getting articles on lung cancer? I
Mhm.
should go get checked. I do have that little pain in my side. I should, and sure enough, you have lung cancer. So, and I'm not saying that that is happening all the time, but again, that's just an example of a
Mhm.
sign.
Mhm.
Um, or all of a sudden somebody is talking about their illness or their good fortune or their something, and you're thinking, I was just thinking about that, and I'm wondering if
Mhm.
that's what's happening to me.
Your body autonomy as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Knowing what your body is all about and saying like,
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is what it is. For
Mm.
example, my kid knowing that he had strep throat and he had no
Mm-hmm.
symptoms of strep throat whatsoever, doctors refused to test him, like flat out refused to test him because you don't have it. It's kind of a waste. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why you're here is a waste. And he was like, he knew his body enough to get they ended up swabbing him and he was flaming strep throat,
Mm-hmm.
like to the point
Yeah.
where he could have pretty much been in a very
Mm-hmm.
serious infection,
Mm.
hospitalized if they didn't get it on time. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing your thing and that the sign, I was like, how did you know? Like, how do you know these things? And he goes, I just knew my throat didn't feel right. It wasn't sore, it just didn't feel right. And then his
Mm-hmm.
ears never, he goes, my ears were sore. That's not a sign of sore, not, it's not a sign of it. And that's what
Yeah.
he was saying to the doctor, my ears are really sore. No,
Yes.
it's not a sign of it. So, but for him, it was. So, knowing your own body, those are our signs
Mm-hmm.
too, right?
Mm.
Universe will give us, I always say there's universe will give us pebbles, rocks, and boulders. And the
Mm-hmm.
pebble is just, okay, so, you know, you're here it is. You're going to get a sore throat. Okay, sore throat. That's meant for you to like go, okay, I have a sore throat. Maybe I should go get that checked out. You don't get that checked out. You could go along for another month or so. Then you're all of a sudden you're getting like a laryngitis happening. You're like, okay, well, there's
Mm-hmm.
laryngitis. My throat isn't sore. I'm just gonna go have some lemon and honey and I'll be fine. And that was your rock at that point in time. And you're like, you didn't go get checked out, so you go back to work. And then another month later, all of a sudden you can't talk and your throat is swollen and all these are here.
Mm-hmm.
So the universe will take you out and they're like, okay, so you didn't do
Mm-hmm.
that. Here's your rock. Now you have to take time off of work. Now you have to let your life slow down because you didn't get that checked out before. So now you have to stop. But
Mm-hmm.
you stop long enough. So you get up and you go and you're like, I'm fine. It's just a sore throat. It's nothing. And then what happens? Then you get your Mack truck. It hits you like a ton of bricks. And you
Yes.
have to, it'll give you like a diagnosis of, you know what, you've got swollen glands, and your glands could lead to you coming in and having something else happen to you that's not the greatest in the world. That means
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to slow down and stop. So, you know, that's just a little bit of an example. The story I tell about rocks, boulders, that one for me was a very signs that I should have taken a long time ago. Like I used to
Hmm.
deliver newspapers at like midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to do them. I didn't. And I kept saying I need the money to do this. Wasn't making much
Hmm.
money doing them. So one day I went to this house and there was a dog outside at midnight, and he literally jumped on me, knocked me over, smacked my head down, had a headache, got up. I was like, okay, I had a headache, fine, and get up and go to work the next day. I'm good. About a month later, same house, walking down their driveway. I fell and I slid down their driveway, smacked my head. Fine, you're good. You're good. You don't have to do anything about that. Continued to get up and did the papers the next day. So I kept going like that. Did that for about a month, living with headaches and all these things. Don't I come to this house again? And this time I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to fall on the ice because I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to have a dog that's going to bite me. No, no, I didn't. I fell and I sprained my ankle off of a little piece of sidewalk. And
Yeah.
then I sprained my wrist all at the same time. But what did I do? I get up and went to my big job the next day. I'm a big girl. I'm not in any pain. I'm fine. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my God, I need to do these papers. I need the money. About a month later, I was getting my stepdaughter to help me with the papers, and I was like, okay, she went to that house. She goes, see, nothing ever happens to me when I go to that house. I'm like, cool. So I get a call at work the next day, and they're like, your car is totaled. She was in a car accident with my car, and it was totaled. So I call up the newspaper place, and I'm like, you know what? I can't do the newspapers tonight. I can't. I don't have any transportation. And they're like, well, you know what? You're fired.
Yeah.
So I could have saved myself way back at the pebble, way back at
Yep.
bit by a dog or hit by a dog. But no, no, I
Mm-hmm.
had to go all the way through and
Mm-hmm.
be committed and do all that only to be fired because I had no transportation. Yeah, that was
Yep.
my lesson. So
Yeah.
that's a sign that
So
we
you got to
listen
watch
to.
them signs. You got to
Watch them.
watch
So
and watch. Anyway, I'm watching the time too,
I
by the
know
way.
I could see that and it's 9:34.
9:34. We started at 8:30.
Mhm.
Anyway, I mean, again, this conversation could go on for hours and hours and hours. Um, I love hearing the sound of a coin hitting the ground because I know it's coming from midair. I know
Mhm.
it's coming from somebody.
Yeah.
I love that there's one tree in the middle of these pine trees that's white and it
Mm.
catches my eye. Only yesterday and the day before and the years before it never caught my eye, but
Mhm.
today I see that one tree in the middle of all these spruce and pine. It's like, huh, I've never seen you before. Nice to meet you. So again, there's another apport, I guess. I don't know if I don't even know how long this tree has been there. If it's been there forever and I've never noticed it,
Who knows?
maybe. I mean, it doesn't
Probably.
exist until you actually see it, right? Or you
Exactly.
actually touch it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we can't dismiss our gift of discernment.
Hmm.
That was given to us for a reason, and we need to pay attention to those signs, but we also need to be careful that is it a sign or is it not a sign? And it
Hmm.
takes maybe 5 seconds to sort that out. You
Hmm.
know, you think that dime that fell out of my glove. It took me 5 seconds to say, honest to God, I had these gloves on 3 times and there was no dime in the finger. No
Hmm.
dime.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yep. If
my
you can
my
just see it.
discernment says that's an apport. And I've
That's
seen them
great.
several times. Anyway, this is a fascinating conversation. Anybody who's listening, thank you for showing up. We really, really appreciate you coming here and listening to us go
Mhm.
on and on and on about things that fascinate us. Um, and if you like what we're talking about, please do us a favor. Please like, share, and subscribe.
And
And
and share with us some of the apports that they may have had out there as well,
I
or
love to
ask the
hear
question, like ask the
ask
question, is this a sign?
Is this a sign? Yes, please ask us questions. We can, we can discuss it together. Um, and if you have a guest idea or if you have show topic, please let us know. We would love to hear. You can get a hold of Lori at psychic_touch at outlook.com or psychictouch.ca. Mine is photolsd at hotmail.com. I'm going to put all that stuff down below anyway, and I don't know, and Kara will have the same email address anyway. So please drop us a line. Tell us what you think. We will as soon as I'm just not settled in my living environment. And so once I get settled and everything is running smooth, we plan on doing a live event
Mhm.
and where we bring people on or bring people into the chat room and ask questions. Ask Lori almost anything.
Pretty much, pretty
Yeah.
much ask me anything.
Yeah, ask
Like,
anything,
ask
whether
anything.
it's ask for a reading or ask for a sign or ask
Mhm.
for, what does this angel number mean? Anything like that. If you want one of us to pull a card, we'd be more than happy to pull a card. Absolutely. It's going to be ask us whatever.
Yep. You can ask a medium day, ask a
Yeah,
sage, ask a question about pretty much
yeah.
anything. And just if you have a comment in regards to something that you're wondering about, it may not be a complete question, but you know, absolutely, we're here to, I'm here to answer that. I'm here to answer the questions. If for some reason I don't have an answer to your question, I'll probably go off on a tangent, probably. Um, but if I don't, then I will find the answer. Yep. I'll
Yes.
either tap in or I'll channel spirit in to get the answer. That would be a really cool thing to do on TV, wouldn't it? That would be
Oh,
awesome.
that would be, but
Or,
again, I'm a little nervous doing the channeling live
yeah,
and the
I
meditation
got
live.
control, right. I got control of
Yes.
that though.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that would be a
I'm
pretty,
just a little nervous, but yeah, that's something that we can certainly
I mean, that would just be
plan.
something that I would do as the medium, like the
Yes.
contact and the word channeling, like that kind of
Would
thing.
be just you. Yeah.
It would just be me because
Yeah.
like when I tap in to ask the answer to the question or whatever that might be. But
Yeah.
definitely let us know, let us know about like different topics that you might be
Hmm.
wondering about. Ancient animals, things that used to exist in the past, spirit like
Hmm.
unicorns and griffins and all those kind of things. I got
All that
experience
stuff.
in those galactic stuff. Yeah, let
Yes.
us know.
Or yeah, lots of there's the topics are endless.
The world's so endless.
Anyway, Kara, thank you so much for coming on with us. It was so nice to have
Sure.
you.
Yes, thank
And
you for having me. That was fun.
Maybe
maybe one day we'll have you back. Absolutely, we'll have you
Oh,
back.
yes.
Yes,
Yes, for
and
sure.
you
Especially
can
for the
you
live.
Mhm.
yes, and you bring a topic too next time you come in.
Oh, I totally will. Yep.
Okay.
I've got some
All
ideas.
right. Have a wonderful night,
Yeah.
you
Good
too,
evening.
and have a wonderful night, all our listeners. Bye.
Bye.